Right, I don't know if you saw this, but last night MSNBC show host Rachel Maddow broke what the network called an exclusive, releasing the first that anyone has seen of Donald Trump's tax returns. This so-called big reveal, 2 whole pages of a 1040 form from the year 2005. Many call last night's Rachel Maddow expose reminiscent of Geraldo Rivera's famous Capone's Vault moment. So legal and media analyst Lionel of Lionel Media has his own inimitable take on this. All right, my friend, what did last night's television moment remind you of?
Well, it reminded me of not Geraldo Rivera. Let me say something right now. In defense, M. Chan, of Geraldo Rivera, he did not know what was in that vault. He honestly did not know. Rachel Maddow knew what she had. Her staff knew what she had. Her researchers, her guests, everyone knew that they had clear and convincing evidence that Donald Trump is a law-abiding citizen who pays his taxes. That was unbelievable. Now, but it reminded me, and if you notice it, go back and watch it, kind of like a Zapruder, if you will. Watch her face. It reminded me of Warren Beatty at the Oscars. She had this look of, she says, well, here it is. 2 pages, 150 million, Mazel Tov, and there we have it. And Mr. Johnston, he goes, well, you know, Donald could have mailed it to me. Well, there you go. And, you know, it's funny. All these people, M. Chan, who say, oh, you're being conspiratorial, all of a sudden, they were inspired to say, I'll bet you Trump did it. Now, the question you asked, very good question, is, did this help, did this inure to the betterment of the president? Well, let's see. There were all types of discussions, very serious issues about the CBO and whether his Trump care would leave 24 million people without health care. There was, of course, the allegations made against his predecessor, POTUS, and whether he was the subject of illegal wiretapping and the like. Those were some serious concerns, and the whole world was watching. But then, the mobile, whatever, careened off, and we talked about this. And what happened was, it just so happened, and this is also, I think, you being the exquisite journalist that you are, would wonder, wouldn't you have somebody just research that maybe your big expose happened to have been mentioned a year prior in the Wall Street Journal, that it's basically a 12-year-old tax return that says basically nothing, and you know it's bad when CNN was just on the floor. Watch what Van Jones and others, whose reason for existing, their raison d'etre, for all you French folks out there, their whole reason was basically to slam Trump. And they said, this helps Trump because it says he pays at the 25% level, which everybody knows at this point is more than Obama and Bernie Sanders and everybody else paid. So it was a debacle. I say no. We now officially retire Geraldo Rivera from the punchline of all times, and we now move in Ms. Maddow, and as she takes front and center this Lionel, absolute debacle.
Now, that is your media analyst hat. Let's take that one off. Put on your lawyer hat.
Yes.
Could Rachel Maddow or David Cay Johnston, who has been on this show, on this network, talked with me, could either Maddow or Johnston suffer any criminal exposure for putting something like that on TV? No?
No. And by the way, he has a pretty good provenance and pedigree when it comes to his history. So he is not some lightweight by any stretch of the imagination. The answer is no. There could be some rogue politician, but the Supreme Court in 2001 pretty much said, so long as, and there are statutes that say that people in the government and people who come into contact with and in possession of returns, tax returns, cannot divulge them. But if you are a journalist, as you are, and somebody brings something to you, and you did not steal them, purloin them, appropriate them, you were acting, and if they're newsworthy, let's go back a while back. One of the bases of the appeal of the Hulk Hogan-Gawker case is going to be just how Gawker got those tapes. So it is, believe it or not, the courts always err, if you will, on the side of the First Amendment and journalism. So no, they are not, unless they actively were involved in this, which there's no evidence of that.
Sure.
They shouldn't worry about this. But it just goes to show you. And I also found, it's funny, I tuned in last night. I tuned into all the other shows. You know, Colbert and others. I thought, surely they would have fun with this, because after all, their whole thing is parody and comedy, and they're not partisan by any stretch of the imagination. So surely everybody, because if, let's say, Bill O'Reilly had done this, or Sean Hannity, it would have been wall-to-wall mockery. But yet, the crickets were were deafening. And it just goes to show you, this also gives a new definition to fake news or fake exposés.
And you know what, Lionel? Before I go, I'm going to give myself the last word on this. Just so we're clear, NBC vetted this through the White House before they went on MSNBC. So before Rachel could dump it on air herself, the White House scooped their scoop. So the White House had already talked about it before. So there you have it. There was no ta-da moment. But always good to hear your thoughts on this.
Not a ta-da moment. The whole thing was and
that's why we have you on the show right now to parse this all out for us. Thank you so much for joining in on the fun, the shenanigans today. Lionel of Lionel Media in New York.
Thank you.